Welcome to the After Coffee Show with your host, Antonio Newton of the Newton Group. Today's special guest, chef and owner of Ratio, Javier Uriarte.
Hello, how are y'all doing today? My name's Antonio Newton, your local realtor with Coldwell Banker, and today I have the honor and privilege of interviewing Javier. We are here at his new restaurant off of Spears Creek Church Road called Ratio. So we just had a couple of questions for him because they're going to be doing a soft opening for the next couple weekends. But I'll stop talking and let him tell you all about it. So first, welcome, Javier. How are you doing today? Great. Awesome. Well, for our viewers and listeners out there, obviously I kind of gave them a little bit of snippet, but before we dive into the restaurant and everything, just tell us a little bit about Javier and who you are, where you're from, and how'd you end up here?
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Javier. I was born in Peru, and I grew up in Peru most of my life. I moved to the United States when I was 13 years old, to Maryland. And that's really where I, became this like culture shock of like living in Peru, eating Peruvian food, and moving to the United States and being like a completely different story about what Peru is.
Okay.
And that's pretty much where my beginning of things. That's where it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how'd you end up here in South Carolina?
So in Peru, in Maryland, sorry. I was going to school, and I was deciding to go to school for business management.
Okay.
And then I was doing that in Maryland, and then at the time I wanted to I wanted to come and do more other things. So I had a girlfriend at the time that actually lived down here in Columbia that was going to USC. So she was like, "Why don't you just come with me and down south?" I was like, I don't know about it. I've never been to the South. I've never been anybody else. I've never been.
It's a little different. I was
still living in my parents' house. I was 20 years old. And I was like, I don't know. And then she was like, "Come on, just do it." I was like, you know what? If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it.
Right.
So let's just go ahead and do it. And I decided to, come to the South. And I got my first job here in Columbia was at Garibaldi's.
Okay,
it's now Publico, I believe.
Yeah.
So
right there in 5 Point.
Yes, in 5 Point. Yeah. So that was my first job here in Columbia, and then I was going to school still for business management and working. So I was working Tuesday through Sunday or Saturday. I think we were open. I can't remember now. Okay. But and then I would go to school in the morning and then go to work.
Okay.
After, and I did that for a few, maybe like 5 months or so. And then I decided that, I was like, school's not really for me. I see myself like, doing it and, being fine with it, but I want to do more than that, and I always knew that I was more artistic than I was intellectual and like books.
You got to know your strengths, right?
You got to do it, so I always, when in high school, I always used to draw. I used to I played music. I was in a band. I was a drummer in a band for a long time. So I was always very into like what I could do with my hands and my my body overall. So I was working in the industry, cooking. So I was like, I'm gonna see if I can do this for a living. I was like, I think I've gained all this knowledge, all this experiences working in Maryland, in DC, and then now in South Carolina. It's a completely different world and different cuisine, and everyone's so nice, and everyone just wants to just eat all the time. And I was like, oh, this is awesome, So I'm like, I'll quit school. And I'll give it 100% of my time dedicated to becoming a chef. And that was 6 years ago or so.
Wow.
I decided to not go to school anymore and become a chef.
Focus on your craft.
Yeah.
So. And now look here you are.
Yeah.
Here you are, Ratio.
Exactly. Now here's my own place, excited for it. And it's been a humble time for me to do this, but also been a very exciting time.
I bet.
All this whole experience, and it's always hard work's always a must,
right?
And anywhere you go. But I think for me, it's not the hard work. It's more like people that I've met through the years, farmers, business owners, managers, servers, hostesses. I mean, everything. Cooks, obviously. I think that's what really makes the industry what it is. Is have people that share the same passion that you do,
right?
But then you can take on like the leadership role on it, and then make them excel more and make yourself excel more in the sense of that. So I think that's what really has tickled me to like, keep on pushing myself to do better and do more things and take on more, as people call them, risks. I like to just call them like, steps for success.
Right.
And I think that's what's been pushing me to do more. It's just, people that are telling you, oh, your food is amazing, your food is great, or people are telling you, hey, you're a good chef. Like that's what motivates me to be better, and not for myself but for everybody else as well.
Right. Well, good. I'm excited. Yeah. You got me wanting to try it so bad right now. So tell me a little bit about the name Ratio and how you came up with that name.
Yeah. So I came up with the concept of the restaurant actually before I came up with the name for the restaurant, because I don't know if you ever tried to name a restaurant before or named anything that you own. Uh-huh. It's very hard to come up with one name that can, wrap up everything that you believe in one word. So when I was coming up with the name, I actually could not. I had a very amount of names that my fiance and I were talking about, and we were like, let's just put it aside. I'm gonna focus on like the concept of it and like the scheme of it, the feel, what do we want to do for food, want to do for cocktails and beer and wine, all that stuff. And I was like, and I think once we do that, we'll get deeper and deeper into what it is that we're trying to do, and we'll realize what the name should be. So obviously one of the things that I was coming up with obviously was the food, myself being a chef. And I was thinking about how do I always wanted to open a tapas place. And tapas just means smaller plates. It's a Spanish like style of eating that back in the day that they used to like. If you went to a tapas place, you would order wine. And as long as you were drinking, people would bring you tapas for free every time. Okay. So, and that kind of captured with me a long time ago, before I first heard about it. A long time ago, and because it made it seem that it wasn't about the wine or the food, but it was about the atmosphere. Right. And we could sit down and have a glass of wine each, and they would just bring food, and we would talk about amongst our life and each other, and then maybe now and then we're like, oh my God, that was super good. Right. What is that again? And we talk about the food, about the wine, and then ourselves. So it's conversation food, and then to me that's what really struck me. I was like, I love that. I love that concept of just like having smaller things and then trying more things overall and expanding your knowledge in cuisine and drinks, but being able to also stay very personal to whoever you were with at the table. So that was what the concept of Ratio. So when I was coming up with that name, I was like, I have to find I was talking about some kind of food that I was going to make to my fiance, and I was like, I gotta find the right ratio for it. And I was like, hey, what do you think about Ratio? She was like, I like it. It sounds good. She was like, it's got one name. It's got it's one name, two syllables. Like it pops. It's
pretty hip. Sounds
and then after literally we said that, I got it's like this like light bulb in my head like came on, and I was like, oh my gosh, like Ratio. That's what I've been thinking about. Like that's what it all makes sense. So Ratio, of course, when you look at it in a food sense, there's ratios for all foods, right? There's ratios to make a dough, to make a salad dressing, to make a stock. All those things have their ratios, and within those ratios, there's smaller ratios to make things better and better, right? So I started thinking about like, what do I, as a chef and as a person, what do I focus the most? And obviously as chefs, we focus a lot on little things to make things great. Instead of just buying a stock, we roast the bones ourselves. We buy this nice produce and take 3 to 4 hours to make one stock for it to be gone in 30 minutes. And that's the little things that I like to focus on. So that's what Ratio means is like we focus on little things so that the bigger overall picture of the restaurant takes care of itself.
I love it.
And it also, if you look at it more in depth, or ratios, that's what tapas is. A tapas is a small amount of food, but it's the perfect ratio that somebody should have. you know. And then if you are so hungry, well, you can order more than once.
Right.
There's no
That's
limitation.
right. There's no limit, right? We're not going to stop you.
Exactly, you know. So we don't have the bigger entrees that, you know, I think people in the South might be used to, but they're just as delicious, you know, and you can order more than one. You know,
Right.
I think the concept of us is that we want people to order more than one tapas. So I think I would suggest to have at least 2 tapas. Order, you know, get like we have some bigger tapas and then we have some smaller tapas as well. Get like one big one and one small, and kind of just that way you can really take in what I'm trying to do and what we're trying to do here at Ratio, you know, and understand what we're like, where we're coming from and where we're going.
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's you know, and then ratios again. I mean, you know, lighting, music, atmosphere, the way you're greeted, the way you're seated, how the menu looks, the spaces in between the letters and the menu, like all that's the stuff that we thought about, you know, prior to now. You know, even like making little details, like having that moss art out with our name on it. You know, picking the right colors in here to repaint the restaurant itself, picking the right art to fit in here. So it all, again, we've been focusing a lot on little ratios, little things, details to make the overall picture. Like when you come in, you're like, oh my gosh, I love this place. I really, and I don't know why, but then after you've eaten and you drank and you talked and you enjoyed your time here, you'll understand why that is that you like it so much.
And they want to come back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I haven't even eaten here yet, and I want to come back already.
You're welcome back.
But no, I appreciate a lot of good things you said. I like being able to try different things because the plates are smaller. Because sometimes you don't want to try something, because if I don't like it, all the money's gone and I'm not going to order something else, and et cetera. So that really lets people be able to be adventurous, you know, when it comes to their palate and their food.
It's easier to commit to a smaller plate.
Right.
That you may not be, you know, comfortably ordering somewhere else, but you know, you can you know, just comfortably order just small thing. If you really enjoy it, well,
get another one.
2 more.
Yeah.
You know, and now you're just eating the one thing. You love it, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of what my idea is. It's the whole thing is I want people to try different things as well, you know, because the cuisine that I make is not, you know, I don't think is the norm in the South, you know, and not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that it's different, you know, but I try my best to kind of fusion that together, you know, my experience here in the South and what I've learned from other past restaurants that I've worked here and in the past in Maryland, and kind of bring that all together with my heritage, which is Peruvian food and not American food, and kind of fuse that into something that I call comfortable food. You know, comfort food is nothing but, you know, it's not about the food, it's about the emotion, right? Because people think about, like, you know, like collard greens or shrimp and grits, they think about like, oh, my mother's shrimp and grits or my grandmother's shrimp and grits. Well, I think the same thing when I think about the dishes that I make. You know, so if I can portray that same emotion through my food and you can understand that, then we're speaking comfortable food language, right? So you know, so calling something comfortable can be anything as long as you have that emotion and that dedication behind it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So, talking about cuisine, I know you've been keeping a tight lid on the menu and what's going on, but just share a few of the plates that you're going to offer, or what you can tell us, just to kind of whet their appetite. No pun intended.
No, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think, you know, I've been asked actually this question before, and, you know, I always say that I want people to be more of, have the element of surprise when they come in, you know. For one, is because I want there to be no like placebo effect when it comes to like what you read and what you've seen on the menu like online, and then when you come in, you know. But like kind of like when you come in, you expect nothing but what we give you, you know. So that's expectations. Therefore, there's no room for like, oh, I thought it was gonna be like this.
Right.
Well, no, this is how it is. You know, so it's more of a surprise. It's more of a true understanding of what we are, you know. But you know, there are a few things I'm sure that you know I've gathered through the years that people that know me and that've eaten my food before in the past, like, you know, just recently at Hendrix when I was there, probably expected to be here. You know, like people I'm sure expected to have a ceviche in the menu, which ceviche is a very Peruvian dish. One of the traditional Peruvian dishes, and it's fish marinated in lime and various other herbs, and then, you know, and that marinade gives it this like, it's almost like a fish tartare, but it's more than that. You know, like the way we do it in Peru is we add cilantro and garlic and ginger and celery, and we marinate that fish with it, and it's got this bite of herbness and citrus. But then the fish itself, if you get really good fish, it should be nice and silky and almost sweet. So it balances itself out, and you get this amazing mouth watering feel. Like my mouth watering right now because I'm hungry and I want to eat that. And I think people who have had my ceviche before understand what I'm trying to see. If you don't, you'll understand once you've had it.
Once you come,
you'll want to have more every time.
Okay.
And that's probably one of the main things I've ever here. I think the next thing that we'll probably have here that everyone will really enjoy is empanadas. Okay. And I'm sure people know what empanadas is just from the Mexican term empanadas. But the style that we do here is Peruvian style empanadas. So they're not fried. Usually, I think Mexican empanadas are fried. If I'm mistaken, I'm sorry, but I think they are. We do here, we make our own dough from scratch made, and we stuff them with our own house-made chorizo, and then we close them up and literally there's this technique that goes behind it that my mother taught me about how to close empanada with doing this really nice, pretty looking empanada, and we have to do that by hand to every single one of them, and they're baked perfectly in the oven for about 15 minutes before they hit the table, and when you have them, they're just gonna melt in your mouth. You have this buttery, and then you have this almost like meat and chorizo, a little spicy flavor inside, and then accompanying to it, we have this called ají verde, which is it's like a Peruvian aioli. It's an aioli. It's made with ají amarillo, which is a Peruvian pepper. Okay. And we add that to cilantro and a little bit of jalapenos and various other things. And then on the side of that, we have this called salsa criolla, which is it's like an onion slaw, and it's also made with that ají amarillo, that pepper. So we take all that in. So now you have this, this almost like a pastry, empanada that you can dip into your aioli, and then you take a bite of that together, and then you put a little bit of that slaw on top, and you're in heaven. You're hitting all these notes. It's acid, it's fatty, it's a little bit of sweet in there, and I mean I could eat this every day, all the time. I think we actually had our staff training the other day, and I was telling them how to eat it. Take this and do that, pull on top. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm like, I know. I was like, but it takes so long to make them. I think I made 20 of them, and it took me probably 20 minutes to make them. It takes time, but that's what we used to here at Ratio. We used to make things from scratch. Nothing store-bought. Everything is scratch made. If it can't be made here, then I can't call myself a chef. If I'm opening boxes and putting it on a plate or putting it in a microwave and send it to you, I can't call myself a chef. I'm only a chef if I cook everything from scratch, and I'm very proud of what I'm doing. And that's what I try to teach my employees, my line cooks, and try to portray that to my servers so they can tell that to their guests as well. Okay. So I know you got a soft opening this week, right? Yes. So what days and what are the hours for that? So we're soft opening Friday and Saturday. Okay. And is it reservations? Reservations only. Okay. Yes, because we have to inquire for COVID regulations. And have capacity inside, but we do have the luck enough that we have a very sizable patio that we can use to see people as well. We can see about 35 people outside, and inside, we can accommodate for parties and stuff, all of that. But we're quickly filling up. Okay. To our maximum. So if anyone needs to make a call, make reservations right now. Okay. If not, we'll be back again next week, our regular hours, which would be Wednesday through Saturday from 4 to 10. Okay. So the soft opening is just this weekend. So we're gonna it's this weekend, but we're gonna soft open for a couple of weeks. Okay. At a time, because we want to be able to, experience the overall. We're all working together as a new family, right? We've hired new people, we know people, but it's I'm able to feel comfortable with ourselves. If I feel comfortable with you, I'll tell you whatever you need to know, and I'll talk with you about it, and we'll help each other out. And kind of having those like couple to few weeks of soft opening can get our staff trained and well versed on everything that we're trying to do here, so that way that when you come to our final like grand opening, like you'll be completely blown out the water. And not that you won't be here when we're doing those openings, but it's just we have a little bit of lead time to really make things perfect.
Okay.
I guess.
So when's your grand opening?
We haven't set a date for the grand opening yet. And again, it's more of a just kind of element of surprise. So everyone will probably hear about it like the week before that.
The week before.
We like to kind of do that, like and it's not like a last minute thing. It's more like we like to kind of throw people under a curveball and be like, hey, we're doing opening now,
right?
And so we'll do that probably with I would think 3 weeks or so.
Okay,
we're doing a grand opening.
So if someone wants to make reservations or contact, what's a good number for them to call to make reservations, either for the soft opening or once the grand opening takes place?
So we're obviously we are on a reservation app.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Resi.
Okay.
So if you have Resi, you can look us up. It's Ratio on Resi, and then you can make reservations through the app.
Okay.
You can also email us at management@ratiorestaurant.com, and we'll be happy to reply to you as well. And the phone number. Look what the phone number is.
So such a new restaurant, right? And while he's looking at that, they also have a Facebook page, Ratio Facebook page, correct?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram as well.
And Instagram as well.
Yeah. So our phone number is 803-900-0081.
Okay. Say that one more time for him.
803-900-0081.
Okay. All right, so call, make your reservations. They're going to fill up quick, I can tell you. Just from my being here, I'm not far away, but he's a great guy, and I'm excited for him, excited for this opening, and we'll be bringing you more live updates as well once they get it up and get going. But Javier, I want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you got a lot going on here and training the staff and opening and getting everything done, so thank you for taking the time out to let us kind of pick your brain and talk about Ratio. And I'm excited for it. So, as always, if you have any questions about Ratio, you have his number on how to reach him, and his name is Javier, the owner of Ratio, and my name is Antonio with Coldwell Banker. And thank you so much. If you have any questions, reach us at 803-608-2597. I hope y'all have a great day and stay safe.
You've been watching After Coffee with Antonio Newton of the Newton Group at Coldwell Banker. After Coffee is a hyperlocal show interviewing hyperlocal businesses and people in the greater Columbia area. After Coffee, it's love hyperlocally.